Hey, folks. Good evening. So we only got a few in here so far. I think there's five in here, seven, five, seven, something like that. So welcome. Rick's going to be in here in a little bit. He's still he's he's going to be here in a little bit. He's running a little bit late, so I expect him in. Um, Saw some of the Chasgood Chuck and or chatting with Betty Jean and Paula prior to starting this tonight. Yeah, it is Betty Jean. It has been brutally hot. So I shouldn't say brutally hot. It's been in the low 90s. I think the highest we gotten is like 92, 93. Um, but the humidity is what the brutal part is. I mean, and Lala has decided that she needs some fencing done. And anybody that's followed our channel for any amount of time knows we don't do fencing in the summer. All of that is generally done all winter. So we generally start our fencing projects around about October, and we're generally doing fencing generally still in March. We got a lot done last year with the new buck pen, but she decides she needs some paddocks done so she can do more rotational grazing because our herd's bigger this year. We've retained a few more of the kids. So we've been doing, we started fencing last weekend, 91 degrees, near 100% humidity. It has been absolutely brutal. So shouldn't take too long to get that piece done. Hopefully a few weekends and we'll have at least 2 or 3 paddocks subdivided. So who we got in here? We got I was chatting with Paula. I was chatting with Betty Jean Holson. Welcome. Prior to going live. Who else we got in here? We got Bradley White. Good day, mate. From down under. Bradley, did you ever find out whether that fern or that plant that you were talking about on doing that tour of your background, was that an asparagus fern? If so, that is one of my favorite ferns. When we in our old house, I used to decorate, did a lot of the landscaping and decorative pieces with ferns. I love the Kimberly fern, which is virtually indestructible. But particularly that asparagus fern, I'm pretty sure that's what that is. There's a few different varieties of that fern. There comes Rick. You gonna be up here, bud? Or you gonna be downstairs?
No, I need the 6-digit number off your rehab. Sorry. Just text
Hold on a second.
Just text it to me and then I can get in.
Hold on a second. Rick's asking me to do something for him. Why don't you just take it with you? Sorry about that. So he's having trouble logging in, so I had to send him a code. So where was I? I was on the asparagus fern. There's a couple different types. One that has this really long kind of branch, and one that is just kind of more willy-nilly. But I like the one that is more willy-nilly. I planted that around all of our live oak trees at our old house, and it just made for a really, really great decoration around the base of the trees. Got Michael Keener in here, fellow Floridian from not too far west of us, the other side of Tallahassee. Nisi, I hope you are doing much, much better. Sorry I haven't been over to your channel. I heard in a live of the other night that you were down and out, and I apologize for not sending good tidings earlier, but I literally have not had a whole bunch of time to kind of interact, which is why even doing the lives has been a struggle. I got home about 20 minutes before coming live, so it was just enough time to kind of get up here and get things situated. So, until things slow down for me at work, or until Rick kind of gets back up, he still does not have internet to answer your question, Paula. So he's actually downstairs at the dining room table at my house coming live because he's taken all of his stuff back to his house. So he doesn't even have a desk up here if he wanted to sit at up where he normally does. Who else we got in here? We got Rodney Middleton. Rodney, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Silver Pine Kiko Goats. They're relatively new to our channel. Kyle, how are you? Tina Ladybug, welcome, Tina. And Swarmstead. Swarmstead, I am glad you're in here because we got a video coming out this week or next. And, you know, I did a video moving a swarm trap into a box and moving it, and he had some suggestions or feedback on how I did that, and made some suggestions on how to be more successful. So I had a second swarm that I had trapped, and you saw it in that video. We were handling the bees 3 weeks ago, and I finally got to the point where I had the time to try to move that second trap. And this is one that was in the garden enclosure, and it was in a nuke hive. And so I figured, all right, so I got all hooded up, went out there, and really didn't know how this hive was set up at all. And as soon as I tried to pop the top off, at first I thought I had the top of it, the lid of it, screwed on to the body of the nuke hive, and I didn't. I mean, they had literally built perfectly square and symmetrical comb from top to bottom in that nuke hive, and when I went to pry the top off, it literally broke off on one side, and the whole thing collapsed down into the bottom of this nuke. It was incredibly disappointing on the one hand, but two, I realized quickly, I was like way in over my head. I had no clue what to do. So I did my best. Thought I had enough of the colony moved over, but I went out there it was exactly 1 week later, check on it, the entire colony was gone. So I did something wrong. So I don't know what I did. I'd love some feedback when that one comes live. I don't know if it'll be this week's or next week's, but that was an epic fail. So I'm kicking. So Swarmstead says you're kicking butt with the swarms, not even trying. You're right, but this last one was an epic fail. The colony that you watched in the video where I did move, that one's doing incredibly well. That's a super strong colony. In fact, they're starting to beard out of that full 10-frame box. So I'm not sure. They still got some room to grow out in there. They've taken up about 9 of the 10 frames pretty solidly. So that one I'll probably be putting a secondary box on, but I was very disappointed in the second one that had just got moved. It was last week. MB Heritage, welcome. Who else we got in here? Granny Lena. Not sure why I'm subscribed, but when you said swarm, I'm like, yep, I'm all about that. So you must be a beekeeper, Granny Lena. Well, if you are, I've been doing bees for about 3 years, and I have yet to be able to carry a hive through winter. So that's kind of, I'm a very, very beginning entry level beekeeper. But I've got one strong hive this year. It was a swarm that we had caught, and hopefully we can we'll be able to shepherd this one through next winter. But it's a really strong hive. So I don't do a lot of bee content because I hate to do videos when I frankly don't know what I'm doing, because I always then qualify them. I am absolutely a beginner at beekeeping, and I welcome feedback and input from others. And if you, once that video comes out about the hive that just failed, I'd love your input. I got some ideas on what I could have done better. A friend of mine he got rid of entirely away from using plastic foundation in his frames, and he uses basically fishing line, a really heavy gauge fishing line with 2 lines on each one. So when he goes out and he gets a piece of natural comb, then he can basically just put it between those two strings. And I think he cuts 3 holes in the or drills 3 holes in the side of the frames and then runs the string across them. And then he can just slide those natural pieces of comb in those frames between the strings. That would have worked perfectly, but since I really didn't know what was in this nuke, I really didn't know what I was in for. I mean, that would have been the solution, but I was already up to my elbows in alligators before I realized that I should have done that. So, no. All right, you're gonna get a twofer on the same camera tonight.
No, we're gonna make it work.
Can
you share the link to me on my email, and then I'll be done. If that doesn't work, then I'll
this link.
No, the link for the. Sorry, guys. Go down to invite. All right.
That?
And then, copy clipboard. And then just send it to me in my email.
Hold on a second.
Sorry, guys. And then you're gonna have to be the. The ship captain.
I'm the ship captain now.
You are you're gonna continue to be the ship captain.
I don't know what that means, but I'll do the best I can. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right, there we go. Anybody else in here? All right, so that is my nuke story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not sure when that video is going to come out. I did videos on two different things last week. One was on transferring that swarm over, and the second one was our potato harvest. And that turned out fairly well. Good production. But we lost our red potatoes. I think we left them in the ground too long. So the Crafty Hobbit, hello from Washington. Those of you who don't know the Crafty Hobbit, sounds like a great YouTube channel. I'm trying to convince the Crafty Hobbit to be a YouTube channel, but she's not. That's my daughter out in Washington. So very, very crafty. She's not really a hobbit. She's actually a beautiful young woman, but she calls herself a hobbit because that's what she does. All right. So Granny Lana, welcome from Utah. I even told her I'd help her. So, I don't think she's pretty tech savvy, Paula. I just got to get her motivated. She does the other social media stuff, but some of the stuff she makes is just absolutely amazing. All right, what do we got here? So we talked about the bees a little bit. So that's been a disappointment this week. But what hasn't been a disappointment is the garden. The garden's been doing very well. I did 2 things this year that I haven't done in the past. Anyone who's been following the channel understands that for about 10 years, I did not have a garden. I just put my garden back in this year for the first time in about 10 years. Just life, mostly work got in the way. And I've made some commitments this year that has allowed what I thought would allow me to spend a lot more time in the garden. That hasn't come to fruition yet because in the last month, it has been absolutely insane, which is why we haven't even been able to make a commitment to a weekly live stream. It's been every other week for the last couple of months. But we're trying. We do one when we can. I don't think last week I got home until 7:30 at night. I had to go over to Thomasville, or not. Yeah, I don't know Thomasville, Crawfordville, Florida, which is over in the Gulf Coast area. And I didn't even get back home until like 7:30 at night. So I would have been doing a live from the road. Britton Family Homestead, welcome. The Crafty Hobbit. I made a video. I just haven't uploaded it yet. Oh, very cool. Rick, you're in there. I see you.
There we go.
All right. He's made it. So he's downstairs he's downstairs at the kitchen counter.
Yep, still working on getting everything taken care of out there. I got a story, Dad, already.
What?
I said I got a story already. How's my mic turning? Is my mic good?
I don't think it sounds very good, but I can hear it.
That's probably it's that right there.
You got like
It's
an
not
echo.
the greatest.
All right, what's your story?
So I have, I told you that I went and I got a washer and dryer, the Samsung washer and dryer, really nice washer and dryer for me and Chelsea. And Chelsea went ahead and she told me, she's like, hey, listen, we decided we didn't want to wait until the 19th, which was not the original date for our washer and dryer to be delivered. It was like a whole 20 days extra on top of what they originally had said. Hey, Crafty Hobbit. And so, sis. So anyway, we went to Home Depot and we got another washer and dryer. Said that they had to refund, but it's refund pending. So we ended up spending another grand on a washer and dryer. Well, they still have not refunded our money. Well, the dryer and washer was supposed to be here tomorrow. And they called and said, oh, by the way, the dryer got damaged during shipment. And so it's going to take probably until the 20th to 22nd to get your new washer and dryer.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. Yep. Most definitely.
So we got
Frustrating, but
Silver Pine Kiko Goat says, I would much appreciate some love on my channel, y'all good folks. So I think Paul is dropping links in here. So Paul, if you could drop that link, or Betty Jean, that would be awesome. Or MB, one of them, if you guys could drop the link to Silver Pine Kiko Goats.
my thought exactly, Paula. Paula
What's
did
that?
the whole hand on the forehead emoji.
Silver Pine Kikos, where are you guys at? What part of the country are you guys in? Betty Jean says, I have a video on my channel. Betty Jean, I'll have to go check that out. Crafty Hobbit, all right, we'll get your video uploaded and we can take a look at, start promoting the Crafty Hobbits channel. So that would be awesome. So I was talking
Rebecca
about,
has a video up?
well, she said she's got one. She just hadn't uploaded it yet.
Ah.
All right, so go over and check out Silver Pine Kikos, and let us know where you guys are at. Silver Pine Kikos up in Oregon. Okay, cool. I was up in Oregon a couple of years ago. Loved it. It was actually absolutely beautiful up there. Very, very rural parts of it are. So here's what I did this week, kind of different. So I was talking about the garden, and I made some pickles, and these are kosher pickles. These are what's called half sours. So they are not heat. They're not water bath pickles. They are fermented pickles that I've had sitting on the counter for like 3 days. And Lala come up with the suggestion. I told her, they're going to be done fermenting, to try one tonight while we're live. So that's what I'm going to do. So I actually got a pickle, and in this jar I had one of Paula Wells, one of her broccoli or okras. So I actually put one of the okras in there and pickled it. So this is the first time I've made these counter pickles or fermented pickles. So if I die or I start having like cardiac arrest while I'm on the live, then you'll know that I did something wrong. But I think they're going to be good. So
I'm a certified CPR instructor. I got you, Dad.
that's good. That's good. So they've been on there about 3 days. So I'm going to put them in the refrigerator now and let them finish up. But if they turned out well, then I'm going to make some more. But there's another one of the recipe that I had on here said that you can also do this. I thought it was a great idea with the unripe but firm green tomatoes as well as green beans. And I've had both of them. I've just, Lala's made the water bath green beans, and she's made water bath pickles in the past, but I don't think we've ever made any that were just tabletop fermented. So looking forward to it. That's good. That's tasty. Next day, pickled jalapenos. That's.
I don't know if I like being downstairs away from the food. You know how I feel about food. I love food.
So we talked about the beehive. We talked about, I think couple of weeks ago, or maybe I was just communicating back and forth with Paula, but she had sent me some okra seeds, and we planted, I want to say 3 or 4 different varieties of okra, and the only ones that came up were her red burgundy seeds that she had sent me, and they're doing pretty well. I had an aphid problem that I'm trying to kind of overcome right now, but we've kind of got the aphids off the okra, and they are growing out well. So I think I'll probably be able to harvest a good amount, probably by middle of this, or probably by the weekend, or probably the middle of next week at the latest. So looking forward to that. Our peppers, I planted a ton of peppers. I think I talked about this last week or a couple of weeks ago or so as well. Those were an epic fail. Went horrible. We did not get, he'd have to fight me for them, Paula.
I'm about to have you throw a pickle downstairs.
He's got 2 whole jars in the refrigerator, so he can just grab one.
Papa says go up and grab a pickle. All right, I'm coming to get a pickle.
So now we got Edward George in here. Those of that aren't familiar, that is Lala's father up in Western New York. So he'll probably take one of the bottles home, or one of the jars home. So, but other than that, things are going well out in the garden. Things are going really well with the goats. Everybody knew we took some bucklings up to the West Virginia buck test for what you doing?
I'm gonna get a pickle.
Oh, well, here, take that one. That's the other one I took out. You could have just taken that out of the.
I feel good.
Is it really good? At least that's really good. I had never pickled okra. Pickled
I
okra.
haven't even been pickling for very long.
Nisi, pickled okra is phenomenal. Granny Lena, these are not vinegar pickles. These are nothing more than salt water. So they are saltwater brine. They've got garlic, dill, mustard seeds, coriander seeds, peppercorns, bay leaves, red pepper, and kosher salt. That's the entirety of the ingredients list. And Silver Pine Kikos, you have never had okra. You are missing out. You have been missing out in life if you have not had okra.
They've been missing out on the South if they're from Oregon. There's probably a lot of things that we've eaten that they. Silver Pine Kiko goats. Do you know anything about chicken gizzards? That's like, oh man, that's. I'm probably made of chicken gizzards by now.
Granny Lena says, I've never had okra. You guys are missing out that have never had okra. Well, people say they either love okra or they hate okra. Okra is incredible when it's fried, but it's also really, really good when it's pickled. And Kyle says, Paul, I might like that. Kyle, I bet you would like that. It's really good. It's really just a saltwater brine, and that's what the fermentation happens in. These have only been sitting in there for about 3 days. I started them. This is the 3rd night. So then I'm putting them into the refrigerator. If you want a full sour, then you leave them out on the kitchen or out on the counter for about a week. But a half sour is what these are called. And that's about 3 days before they go into the refrigerator to kind of arrest that fermentation. That won't happen when it's in the coolness of the refrigerator.
Rebecca says Rick is made of 90% gizzards and hot sauce. That's true. If you take gizzards, fried gizzards, and then take hot sauce, and then like some type of garlic additive, like even some just like regular garlic, and then take Carolina Gold, mix it. Woo! Oh man.
So Granny Lena, no, you didn't miss how I pickled them. I didn't say how I pickled them because, again, if I die halfway through this is the first time I've made these fermented pickles. Kimberly's grandmother used to make them like this all the time. We've made water bath pickles. We've made vinegar pickles. She's even made salt brine pickles with a water bath, but we've never done them on the countertop. So all that is you take all of the ingredients that I listed, and then they get put into the bottom. It's got a piece of sprig of dill down in the bottom, and then you pack the pickles in really tightly. Now these pickles are after growing them this year, probably the only brand or the only type that I am going to grow in the future. It is a Chicago pickling cucumber, and they technically get about this long, but they're really firm and they're supposed to stay crunchy even after you pickle them. But we had a couple of them that were way down in the bottom of the vines and I didn't see them, and they got probably to about 10 inches. And I gave those two to Rick, but I kept the smaller ones, and that's what's in these pickles are these smaller ones. They're probably range in size from 3 to 4 inches, and they're really firm. I mean, they're really, really good pickles. So I mean, we don't, other than salads, we generally don't eat a whole lot of pickles, and you can use these Chicago pickling cucumbers in a salad all day long. It kind of reminds you of the ones that you get from the store, the super expensive ones that are really long. I think they're Japanese cucumbers or something, but these are really fantastic pickles. So it's a Chicago pickling cucumber, and they turned out fantastic. So Hat Creek Homestead, welcome. Misty, maybe Crazy Homestead, welcome. Granny Lana says, I hardly see okra in Utah. I bet. I mean, okra is kind of a southern thing. I mean, I had it growing up. My mother used to make okra all the time in Western New York, but she grew up in the Smoky Mountains of Virginia, right along the Blue Ridge Parkway. So we had kind of the traditional Irish New York food or northern food, and it was kind of embedded with southern cooking as well. So we'd have fried catfish one day and corned beef the next. So it was a little bit of everything in terms of growing up. So I've got a pretty varied palate in what I love, but okra is certainly on that list. The Beehive Homestead. Stay in our garden with our bees. I need to get a video on how show how ours is so you can see. Beehive Homestead, welcome. I talked about the bees a little bit earlier. We had an epic fail on my trying to capture a swarm and get it moved into a new box. I saw where you said Swarmstead, you could just leave it in that trap. I could have. But here's the deal. It was inside of my garden shed, and it was a gigantic swarm. I mean, it had gotten to the point where it was difficult to walk down to where all the garden implements or the garden tools were, because I'd have to go through this swarm of bees because there was so many coming back to that hive. So my options were, I either move the entire box out to the main bee yard area, or I try to move it. So I figured I'd try to move it. Just didn't work out for me. So I'm going to go through this season with just the one box. What else we got? I got going on here. We're talking briefly about the goats. So we took our goats 3 weeks ago up to those of you who don't know, we raise Kiko breeding stock. Kiko goats are a really hardy kind of meat breed. We don't milk our goats. We do have them processed for meat. We do eat goat meat. That's kind of our thing. And but we took 4 of them up to West Virginia University about 3 weeks ago for the annual West Virginia University goat buck test. So what that is basically they take them up there, they infect them with the barber pole worm larva, and then see which ones are naturally resistant or which ones show the most parasite resistance as a pedigree, and then those are the ones that will outcompete the others in this test. So we sent 4 of the best that we had to offer up to West Virginia, hopefully to perform well. And we got the intake paper, the import intake report last week and started looking at it, and our four goats are right at the top in terms of. One of them was number 8 out of I think it was number 8 in terms of intake weight out of like 180 some goats. So we were super, super happy with that. Their worm load was average to slightly above average, but you've got to look at that worm load within the context of the red blood cell count, and all of our 4 goats had super high red blood cell count. So we were just really elated with how they have done. So we got high hopes. They go on test they went on test today. So they should have been infected with that barber pole worm yesterday, and they went on to test today. So within the next 2 weeks, we should get our first kind of test report, and we'll share that with you as well, kind of let you know how they're doing up there. And Silver Pine Kiko says, love the Kikos. Yeah, we've got, I think right now on property, Silver Pine, we've got of our Kiko herd, I think there's a little bit over 40 that we've got on property now. At our height this year, we had close to 70. We've sold off a lot of that stock over the last 2 months. And that's what it is. So we've got a few more that are, I think we're getting rid of 7 more over July 4th weekend. And then that will be all of the sales for this year. So then we start a breeding season again in first week of August.
Dad.
Are you going to say something,
Rick? Mike was asking about the elephant in the room. Who gave the thumbs
I don't
down?
know. That's been on there for a while, so I don't care.
So every single time, I don't have like a great connection. So if I like come in and out, I apologize. Every single video before it even posts, like if we're doing a premiere or if we're doing a live and Papa does like, 2 or 3 days in advance, there's always one person, and we love this person regardless if he leaves a thumbs down or if she leaves a thumbs down or a thumbs up, it doesn't matter. But you show your support by showing up so you can give us that thumbs down. So we do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We get it's very consistent. It's as the video is premiering or very shortly thereafter, or even the lives, there's that one thumbs down. It happens always very, very early. So whoever it is, thank you for spending the time to come to the live or to even watch the video to give us that thumbs down. But thank you very much. So who else we got in here? We got Urban Grandpa Prepper Ray. How are you, sir? Man, I generally listen to some of your lives, Ray, while I'm at work, and I haven't even been at the office lately. I've been out and about and meeting with folks, and so I haven't even had time to listen to any of your live streams. But hopefully that's going to change in the next few weeks. I'll be able to catch up with many of your videos. So, Kid Family Farm, welcome, sir. So Michael Keener says, yeah, it's still active. Yeah, it is. And it's kind of funny. It kind of makes us laugh that they take that time to come to come and give us a thumbs down.
Well, there's been on several occasions where I've actually mentioned them in our regularly posted videos, giving them a shout out.
Granny Lana says, I never ate goat meat. So here's the deal with goat meat. We don't have our goats processed into steaks and roasts and all that stuff. Now, some people do. We have never done that. We basically have our goats processed into ground meat. So that becomes essentially a substitute for us for hamburger and things like that. So if we're using it for, anything that you can use, we've made goat hamburgers and we've used it in chili. Anything that calls for ground beef, you can use goat, and chances are you're not going to be able to tell the difference. Now it's a much, much, much leaner meat than, it's probably like a 95%, it would be equivalent to like a 95% ground beef. It is a very, very lean meat. But some people, when we tell them that it's goat, then they'll say that it's gamey. But we've actually put goat in some of the recipes that we've made, and the people have no clue that it's not beef, and unless we tell them, and then they say, "Wow, this is really good." But if we tell them, then they say it tastes gamey.
I feel a lot of the time when Mama has added a goat to any of the recipes, especially like say the ground goat meat into say her spaghetti, it gives the beef. I'm not gonna say like a chewy, but it gives it like a harder texture. It gives it like a harder texture, so it feels like a more heavier. It makes it feel like a heavier protein. I love it, and it has a great flavor. So, but yeah, people at work, whenever I've told them, they're like, "Do you guys eat goat?" And I'm like, "Yes, we eat goat," and they'll say, "I don't like goat. It tastes too gamey."
Well,
I don't know who's processing your goat, and you might be sending it to them and getting it processed and not getting goat back. So
yeah,
that happens.
We take usually about a third of the goat because again, the whole thing gets ground, and we take about a third of the meat typically and make it into goat sausage, and it is the most phenomenal sausage I literally have ever had. It is really, really good. And then during the winter time when our egg production slows down, when we get those goats back, because normally we're selling about 35 dozen eggs a week to existing customers. And when that starts slowing down, then we kind of, give them some of our goat meat, and they seem to appreciate that. Last year we gave out chickens and goat meat. That was our Christmas gifts to all of our egg customers. They got a big old Cornish cross and a package of goat sausage for Christmas. So.
Kid family. One of
two old people on the couch. Welcome.
There's certain animals that are on the farm that especially the ones that have there's certain ones that we could not process and put in the freezer. But for the most part, I mean, in the big scheme of things, me and Papa, we have the outlook of every animal on the farm has its own purpose, whether that purpose is a pet like Boone or Monster or Dixie, or even the two dogs that you guys never see on camera, or whether that be the chickens, the goats, or whatever. It doesn't matter. They all have a purpose. With that being said, there are a few. One of Madeline's goats just took a turn for the worse, and we weren't able to, Lala slaved over that goat trying to get her back up on her feet, but it just didn't happen. And it was her time. And because it was Madeline's show goat, and because it was, she had a name, and she was very, she ended up going in the pet cemetery. But for the most part, once we know that goat's going to get cold, it goes in the freezer. Especially the older ones, just because they're here for a purpose. We can give them the best life while they're here, but at the end of the day, they're meat goats. So, right, Dad?
Yeah, and that's something that it's interesting because,
and we even teach that to our kids.
Right, and that's what I was just going to say. I mean, Madeline is 12 years old, and she's now had goats. She's owned her own goats for 2 years. And she makes the decision each year which ones are going to be bred to whom. Is she going to cull them? Are they going to the processor, or are they going to be retained? And she can't retain all of them. She knows that. So she, at 12 years old, is making that decision that she is one or two of them goats every year is going to be processed. And that's just an awesome, awesome burden on a 12-year-old. But that's life. That's real life. She's the one that's out there when we processed our Cornish crosses or our roosters last year. She's out there operating the chicken plucker. Literally as soon as they come out of the scalder, they go into the plucker. Well, she's operating that plucker and pulling them out, and that's just you can't. you can't teach those lessons. Those
Yeah.
are lessons, I think, in my opinion, have to be experienced, and they just build character because you're teaching that kid, that young person, that to honor that food, to honor that animal that lost its life to feed you. And that's something that is completely disconnected with the general population. When you just go to store and grab a pack of chicken out of the freezer, they don't have to deal with that. There's no relationship that they have with that animal. But when you're homesteading, when you're raising your own food, you have that relationship, and it's just an awesome responsibility. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't seen the video of us processing our Cornish crosses, that right there, I mean, you can watch that video, and literally all three of my kids were all there with Lala, with Papa, and Chelsea was out there, and they all had their task, and there was a couple times, I ain't gonna lie, where the boys kind of got overzealous and they were chasing chickens and kind of like just chasing them to chase them. And we set them straight and told them, hey, listen, guys, this isn't a game. This isn't us going out there and and it's enjoy. We enjoy raising the chickens, and we enjoy what they give to us. I mean, it's not necessarily we enjoy harvesting them or enjoy processing, but like Papa said, we teach them to kind of honor that animal and give thanks to that animal for the meat they give us.
yeah, I mean, we've had that conversation with people, some of our egg customers, when they ask us about the animals, and we're very, very candid with them that every single day of all around, whether it's a chicken, whether it's a rabbit, whether it's a goat, every day on the farm is a good day for that animal, except for the last day. And that's just the way it is. Maybe Crazy Homesteads have some offer me serious lowball offer on my goats. Told them I'd rather grow them out and put them in the freezer. And boy, was she a fan. I imagine she was. I mean, we don't grow pets. Now, I say that kind of tongue in cheek now because there's a video coming out. We just haven't finished the video on it yet. Lala, about a month and a half ago, she bought from a friend of hers an entire Nigerian dwarf herd. And so I think it's a total of 8 goats. So we now have what generally are considered pets. But we're selling them to breed, or we bought them to breed and then sell them as pets because we would get a lot more inquiries about purchasing Nigerian dwarfs than we were purchasing Kikos. Now we get inquiries for both. And so, our Kikos are sold out for this year. And we sent a lot of them to the processor, to the sale barn this year. I think we've got an appointment in October for the last 4 that are going to the processor, and those are going to be our adult culls for this year. Again, kind of raising the bar each year. MB Heritage.
Did Mama tell you about our market?
Our what?
Did Mama tell you about our goat market that we usually take the goats to?
Yeah. So
that's unfortunate.
So this goat market, and I don't know. I would. It's probably everybody say, well, it's probably COVID, but there's a significant decline and huge movement toward these plant-based meats, and pushing them in schools, pushing them in kind of restaurant settings. And we got word last week that one of only 2 sale barns in our area, this one has been operating for 6 continuous generations, is closing. It's the one that we take our animals to over in Lake City, Florida, is closing. So their last,
it's one of two in Florida that actually do goat process or goat sales.
So
it's very unfortunate.
So we will be their next sale in July is going to be their last sale, and then they're closing up their doors. So that's it's kind of disappointing for us. So we will be now taking our animals probably up to Georgia, which will be a 2 or 3 hour drive up there. But we do what we got to do. Hopefully, with less competition in terms of the sale barn, hopefully that will push up the prices a little bit. Is what I'm thinking. So who knows? Who knows? Ella, I'm going way back. So Ella said, this is from Kid Family Farm, no to processing our goats. Well, I would say, Mac, if you got a cull, you need to get it processed, because again, it's you got to define why you want goats. And we made it very clear when we had goats that we don't have pets. We have working animals that are here for a particular purpose. And every year we get rid of 2 of our adults. The lowest performing 2 adults go to the market, generally to the processor, because we know they're incredibly healthy animals. And this year, it's really easy the first several years. It's getting really difficult now to determine which of those culls, what are those culls going to be? Because now we're looking at animals that we really, really love in terms of what they do in terms of production. So it's that has become really tough. This year is probably going to be, not probably, it will be the hardest year we've had because, for example, one of the ones that we're considering has a torn tendon in one of her back legs, and her buckling is one of them that's up in West Virginia now, and was second out of the 4 in terms of the quality of the animals that we took up there. So
not considering, don't forget the culling of the bucks. Not necessarily, sending them to the processor, but sending them at least off our farm.
So and it's going to be tough this year. Who else we got in here? Granny Lena says, those mean hens I'm happy to process. We don't have many mean birds. I mean, we've had some roosters, but they weren't mean to us. They were just mean to the hens. I shouldn't even say mean. They were very aggressive maters, and they were constantly causing trouble with the other roosters. So now we've culled our flock down to we've got 4 roosters on 80 hens, and there's a dominant rooster and a non-dominant rooster at the front coop, and a non-dominant and a dominant rooster at the front coop, and they all seem to get along. It was kind of funny. We had we fed the ones up at the front coop early in the morning this last weekend, and Kimberly hadn't made it, or Lala hadn't made it out to the barn yet, so she hadn't fed the ones out in the main coop. And so all of the ones from the back coop kind of started walking up to the front, and including Doofus, who's the head honcho rooster. He's a big boy. He probably weighs 12 pounds. He's a gigantic rooster. And he made it about halfway across the yard before Rodney, the head honcho in the front coop, headed him off at the pass. And Doofus didn't even give him any problems at all. He just turned around and ran. So they respect each other's turfs. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where where Rodney's done the same thing. He'll, get a hair up his butt and want to go down that center path towards the goat barn. And Doofus ain't having nothing. He's not dealing with it. He'll come running out there and he'll start squawking, and all of a sudden you'll see Rodney hightail it back to the front coop.
MB Heritage says, Homestead Red Rangers, after having only a few, really have a couple weeks different in harvest time and taste pretty much the same. We did the Cornish crosses, MB Heritage, and I told Rick we're never going to do them again. Not that they were bad. They weren't. They grew out exactly as they were supposed to. They were gigantic birds, very meaty. I think we probably let them grow a little bit too long. So they were, in my opinion, a little bit tough, but nonetheless, they were acceptable. The problem that I had with those Cornish crossbirds, and led me to say I'm never going to do them again, is I just felt they were miserable. I felt
awful for them.
I felt horrible for those birds because they grow so fast that their legs can't support their body weight. And
Yeah, they take like 3 or 4 steps and then they have to sit down because,
Yeah.
like Papa said, they can't support their body weight.
all right, and they're
Hey,
and-
Papa, what would you do in this situation right there?
I have a mean rooster that has flogged me and drew blood.
You have two options. Two options.
Yeah, I can't tell you what to do, maybe crazy, but I can tell you what I did. I just got done saying we don't have a rooster or a hen that is particularly mean. Not mean to us and not mean to the hens or other roosters. Here's what I did. So I started looking up online and even YouTube videos, what to do with a mean rooster. And what I saw come up more than once was a suggestion to hold that rooster. And I'm like, this is absolutely nuts. This is crazy advice. So Rick says you got 2 options. You either get them to stop being mean or you process them. In my opinion, that's the 2 options. So this, what I saw come up more than once would be to hold them. Kind of like give them counseling and show them the right path. That's in my mind what I'm listening to these people saying. And so, but I said, all right, I don't want to get rid of Doofus. So we're gonna give this a whirl. So I went out there. So he chased Kimberly or Lala, and he chased me. This is when he was very, very young. Now Doofus is probably 2.5 years old now. So I took a fishing net and I caught him. And I did this literally every day for about 7 days. I'd go up there, he'd be strutting around like roosters do, and I caught him with that fishing net. So number one, pardon my French, but he's already pissed. It is difficult to get him out of that fishing net because he's just flopping all over the place. But I got him out of the net. I grabbed him. You hold a hen or you hold chickens generally from the front. You kind of cradle them in your hand, put their legs between your fingers. Well, you don't do that to a rooster because he's going to peck at your face. So I grabbed him from behind and I took his rear legs where he's got the spurs sticking out. Now this time his spurs were this long. They were tiny because he was a very small bird. Now he's probably, like I said, he's a gigantic bird with spurs that are probably 2 inches long. But I still do the same thing with him occasionally. I go out there, I caught him, and I just hugged him. And I walked around with him, and I held him for probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I sat down. Everybody sees the barn videos. They see that we got a church pew that I pulled out of a dumpster at our dump. And that's what we sit on when we're out in the barn. And I just picked Doofus up, cradled him really tight. He had no wiggle room whatsoever. And I just sat there with him 20, 25 minutes. Then I got up and I walked around all of his ladies, see him being held by a dominant male, and he couldn't move. And finally, after about 25 minutes or so, I put him down. And I did it the next day. And I did it the next day. Well, every day I go out there and he does not want to be caught. He tries to avoid me like crazy. But he fought less and less each day. He has not chased a person in 2 years, period. It worked incredibly well. And I was a huge skeptic saying, this is stupid. I'm going to try this, but I'm just going to prove to myself that this is a stupid idea. It's not stupid. It worked. And he was fairly aggressive.
Yeah, it's kind of funny if you could just imagine, like me getting, me kind of walking around like I own the place, and then Papa walking up to me and cradling me like a baby for about 25 minutes, I would get kind of embarrassed.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you're doing with Doofus, is you're just embarrassing the hell out of him in front of all of his ladies and making him feel about that small.
He's a big rooster too. He probably stands, what would you say, 18 inches maybe?
He's a hell of a lot bigger than Rodney is.
He might be 2 foot. I mean, he is gigantic. He's an Easter egger is what he is. Just absolutely beautiful feathers, but he struts around like he owns the place, but he will not go after a human now. I mean, we've even had little Patrick out there and Amalia when she was here. He will not go near a human. Now he's very aggressive with his girls still. He's a very aggressive breeder, which would explain why every time we have a clutch out there somewhere of eggs that are getting sat on, when they hatch out, generally speaking, they turn out to be Easter eggers. He's a very aggressive breeder. Who else we got in here? Maybe Crazy Homestead said I raised that rooster and tried the holding thing and it didn't work. You got to do it every day. It's not something that's one and done. You got to train him that you're the alpha, not him. And it worked. It worked like a champ, and it's still working 2 years later. Now, periodically, I don't do it very often, maybe every couple of months. He will just be strutting around. I'll just go grab the fishing net and I'll catch him. Now, I can't catch him without that net. And we've gotten to the point now, Rick got me a net.
I was about to say, he sees that net.
What?
Yeah, he sees that net and
he takes off.
He knows exactly what time it is. As soon as Papa grabs that net, he's gone. Yeah. So, and she said that catching him didn't make a difference. This is the thing. If you have an aggressive rooster, that rooster does not want to get caught. It's not like some of the other roosters where, maybe the rooster's friendly and it hops up on your lap and all that. Those usually aren't aggressive roosters. The ones that are aggressive are the ones that don't want you to catch them. So if you continue to catch them, say for several days, like what Papa was saying, what eventually ends up happening is one of two things. They're either going to get to the point where they leave you alone because they know when you come out there you're going to try to catch them, or they're going to start liking to get picked up, and at that point they're probably not going to be aggressive anymore. So,
I mean, if you do that enough days in a row and he still doesn't change his attitude, then the only fix is he's going to be a stew chicken.
Yep, that's option number 2.
That's option number 2. If you can't fix them, cook them. But I was the biggest skeptic of this whole, hold him and love on him. Now you're not loving on him. You're just really constraining him. So he learns that he's not the alpha, because in the absence of doing that, the rooster will think he's the alpha, and he will chase people and he will peck at you. I had one of our younger hens peck at me. I was getting her eggs. Now, this is the first time I've seen her get broody. I don't know if she was broody or just sitting on the nest. I reached in there and she pecked my hand, and I laid into her, and she got back up in the nest and hasn't done it since. So,
is it the black? Is it the Australorp in the back coop?
Yes.
Yes, she did that. Yeah, she did that to me, and I got onto her as well.
Yes. So, Sandy, Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming / Arizona. I'm glad you're here tonight because you were on my talking points list. So, if you have not, number one, if you have not subscribed to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming / Arizona, Sandy over there, I think probably most people in here have. Go subscribe to Sandy. It is literally one of my favorite channels out there. Sandy is one of the most genuine people you're ever going to come across. Along those lines, she did a mail call yesterday that will absolutely touch your heart. So I shared it on our channel, on our community tab. So you don't have to go look for it. I would recommend go over to Sandy's channel, check it out. Check out that video. It was her mail call video from yesterday, and it is mail call from Bubba. And Bubba is one of her number one fans, and as a show of just outright love and outpouring of love for Bubba, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you go watch that video. Sandy is putting together a love package, if you will, for Bubba that she is going to send out by the end of June. And so if you can send things to Sandy, her address is on there. She's up in Wyoming now, not Arizona. So I think she's got her address up there up in Wyoming on her channel. But Bubba would love stickers, coloring books, what you would get for a young child. would be perfect for Bubba. But Sandy's recommending stickers, so I'm going to go get some stickers and get some things that I can send to Bubba. But she needs it by the end of June. So that she can get that package. If you want to write a note to Bubba, again, all this will make sense. Just watch Sandy's video. It's she started crying, she meaning Sandy, during this video. And then I'm like tearing up, and I'm like, I can't cry, I'm a man. But I was tearing up watching her tear up. And it's really just it will tug at your heartstrings, and that all makes sense if you just go watch that video. Suburban or Sandy, you are so very, sir, very welcome. Granny Lana, I think we had too many roosters because back then we just bred a lot for meat. We don't intentionally try to breed our chickens. It happens. I would say we capture about 85% of our eggs in the nesting boxes. However, some of them do. They go and they're all free range, so they can literally go anywhere they want on our 20 acres. So 2 weeks ago, we knew we had an Andalusian that had sat on a clutch of 3. The clutch was probably 7 or 8, but 3 of them hatched out. And then we had Dusty Goat Homestead was here 2 weekends ago, weekend before last, helping us out. And we've got a video of that that we've put up. And so I'm sitting out there Michael's looking in, and he's over there playing with the kittens. And he says, Mr. Rick, what is that? And he's pointing out toward the pet cemetery. And he said, are those chicks? I said, no, we don't have any chicks back here. All the new chicks, they're up front in the other coop. There's 3 of them up there. He says, well, what are those then? And I come out there and I look at him, and sure enough, Michael's uncovered another clutch of 8 chicks that had hatched out probably that day. And so we had at one point 11 chicks that had hatched out over a period of 2 days, completely unintentionally. So we took them, we relocated them up front to the main coop. And, this is where people may completely disagree with me here. But again, we don't try to protect their animals, but we also let nature take its path. All of our chickens are free range, and people say, well, how do you protect them from hawks and other birds of prey? And the answer is we don't. The chickens either learn to survive or they get eaten. And that applies to the chicks too. So from our initial 11 chicks, we're down to 7. And those chicks have gotten very, very quick at navigating around the side yard. And they know they go from structure to structure. They don't just wander around and open. So I'm pretty sure that the hawks have picked off about 5 of them.
The hens do a really good job of the mama hens do a really good job of kind of pointing them in the right direction as well. Because this past week was my mowing week that I had to mow the property. And when I was out there around the front coop, it was crazy because you could see the mamas literally like all of the hens and Rodney, for example, because the difference between raising them in a brooder and then raising them inside the flock is when you're doing it in a brooder, you kind of have to integrate both of them together to make to make them kind of mesh. Well, when you're raising them in kind of like a natural way where the chicken sits on the eggs and then keeps the chicks warm. There is no brooder lamp. There is no heat lamps. There is no sweeter heater. There's no nothing. The heat comes from the mama. Well, now that these chicks have now been kind of they've integrated themselves into this flock. All of the birds kind of take care of each other. And so those chicks are, whenever I was coming around with that mower, Dad, it was kind of crazy because you could see the mama hens. You could see the mama hens kind of like pushing the hens or the chicks inside of the front coop where they knew I wasn't going to go with the lawnmower.
Yeah. there was we were
Pretty cool.
talking about Doofus coming up to the front coop. Well, there was this clutch of little chicks that were kind of hanging out. We had just put out the food, so they come out of the coop and out into the yard, and Doofus is coming from the back coop up to the front one, and Rodney saw Doofus coming at those chicks, and Rodney just made a beeline for Doofus, and so he's protecting these chicks, and 8 of them we brought from, they're actually Rodney's chicks that he fertilized, we're sure, because they were hatched out back in the back. We brought them up here and he's just adopted them. So anything in that coop, Rodney's really protective of. It's really cool to watch. Petway Family Farmstead, welcome, sir. And Dusty Goat Homestead, my friends over in the Panhandle of Florida. Gail Southern Living, Gail, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you back online. I am glad to be back online. Hopefully we can get back to this being regular for us, but it's literally been a super, super challenge for us.
Yeah, I got at least Comcast is now admitting the fact that there may be a pole 42 foot away from my front door, which is better than what it was 2 weeks ago whenever we last spoke, where Comcast was saying it was going to cost me $5,000. Nope. They're now admitting the fact that they might be wrong, and it's only 42 foot from my front door to the Comcast line.
Silhouette Park Farm, welcome. Not sure if that's Nettie or Adam, but you guys are in my thoughts. This is another. Normally I would be on your live every Tuesday, and I have not been even. I've been going to work earlier, and I haven't even been able to be on your lives early in the morning. So hopefully within a month, 2 months, things will begin to settle down and I can get back to some level of normalcy where I can spend some time on your channels and kind of get back on a kind of a regimented live. Because when we're doing it on a regimented schedule, we're having guests come in. It just takes some prep time to be able to do that, I think, and do it well. So we're working on it, but it's going to take some time. So no. What else? So we're running at about an hour and 6 minutes now. So I think we're going to kind of wrap this one up. Rick, you got anything else? Oh, Rick's gone. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I think I've kind of covered the main Jesus is Lord. Welcome. Wednesday night church is coming on. I have to go check out Global Vision Bible Church YouTube channel. Big hugs, big respect. Both Rick and Lala. Jesus Lord, we really, really appreciate you, your support, ongoing support. I really appreciate everyone's ongoing support. So means a ton. I mean, we have really, despite kind of backing out a lot of the engagement that we, are I think prior to were really well known for, despite that engagement and not being able to do it now for probably close to 5 or 6 weeks, we've continued to get amazing support from folks, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate that. We're still adding reasonably good growth. I mean, despite that, we're getting great traction on some of our older goat videos, but we're adding about 150 to 160 a month, and so now we are tipping right around, coming up on 5,600 subs. So, I'm humbled, is the best way to put it, that people, are kind of continuing to tune in and watch what we're doing. And, it's been a struggle to kind of continue to put out that content. So, we're going to get back on schedule eventually. Hopefully within the next month, 2 months, we'll be back at that point. Rick will get his internet in because I've been doing all of the editing, all the video, all the editing, all of that stuff for the few that we've been able to do, and I'm just not as good at it. So he'll be back into he'll have traction again soon, and we'll be able to kind of get back into the groove of things and kind of get re-engaged with all of you. But love all of you, really a ton of respect for all of you, and we really, really appreciate your ongoing support. So again, love to all of you, mad respect to all of you. And we're going to go ahead and sign off for tonight. And unless something weird and unexpected happens, next Wednesday, we'll be back on here to catch up with you. Anything, Rick? No?
Nope. I'm sure you just told them how stupid crazy it is lately.
Hopefully Rick will have internet within the next few weeks.
It's killing me.
So,
I mean, I'm driving back and forth up here to put SD cards in my laptop and then drag it back there, and hopefully I can start editing. I heard Papa saying something about he's doing all that now, so he's doing a great job though, along with videoing in general. So
all right, folks.
We'll iron all the wrinkles out here soon.
All right, folks. We're going to log off again. Good night. Thanks. Love y'all. Be well. Take care.
Good night, guys.